Decollette. Daria Decollette. Welcome to Healing Gals podcast, Gal.
Thank you.
I'm thrilled to have you. Thanks so much for coming.
You're welcome. I'm so happy to be here, and you're gorgeous. Look at this beautiful setup here.
I love it. I'm thrilled to have you.
Yay.
Thrilled. You are running the All That Glitters event.
Yes.
That happens once a quarter, would you say?
Kind of.
Yeah.
We weren't really sure how often it was going to be, but this is our second year, and our next show it will be our 5th, which is in 2 weeks' time.
Okay,
so, yeah.
Amazing. I'm thrilled for your success, Gal.
Thank you.
I love to see a woman doing well, you know.
Yeah,
and
don't
especially
we all?
Yeah, do you know, like especially in our area, like you're really bringing like such rich entertainment culture, like just broadening the horizons for like performers and stuff, and showing that to Drogheda, do you know.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to do. Like that was sort of our goal, you know, is, well, I say that like the at the very start when the idea was forming, I was like, wow, it would be great to just do a show like in Drogheda, so I don't have to drive to Dublin or Belfast or Galway, and I could just go home afterwards. Yeah. And I was like, wouldn't that be so easy? Sure. So now I just have a third full-time job basically, which is producing the show. So obviously it's way more work than that, but obviously it's evolved, and we are so happy to be able to bring the best performers in Ireland to Drogheda, like show
and
people.
You do.
Yes, we do.
I was there.
And
you
beyond.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so for my Healing Gals listeners, why don't you explain who you are and kind of what you do so they know why we're speaking?
Sure. So my name is Daria Decollette. I live here in Drogheda, and I am a professional burlesque performer, and I'm also a pole dancer. I worked as a stripper for a couple of years when I lived in London, and I've been a dancer my whole entire life. I started ballet as a 5-year-old child, and I basically have just never really stopped, like that phase that people are supposed to grow out. I was just like, no, I'm still in it.
I don't know if it is a phase. I don't know.
It's not a phase.
No. I think like self-expression, like we were speaking before we started recording, I think like self-expression is something that maybe as we get older, we're kind of taught or conditioned or something that like, that's a childish thing. Now conform and be an adult.
Yeah.
Put your suit on.
Yeah. Off to work.
Yeah,
there you
go.
know? Yeah.
Whereas like, that's like it would be far healthier if we held onto that part of us and continue to express throughout our lives, you know.
For sure.
Yeah. What would you like people to know about you, Gal?
What would I like people to know about me? So if anyone follows me on Instagram or just knows me from, you know, performing or has been to shows and stuff, most people I think have a very get an impression of professional performers, that we're very sort of like confident and untouchable, and you know, nothing could ever rattle us or whatever.
Yeah. It does seem that way. Are you going to tell me? Are you going to tell me that's not the case?
It's definitely the case when I can only speak for myself. Obviously, it's definitely the case when I'm on stage.
Sure.
That's honestly where everything else just fades away, and for me now at least. This sounds so wanky, but it almost feels like meditation.
This sounds so wanky.
So wanky. But like nothing else is existing when you're on the stage. You're so in the moment, you're so in your body, and you're so connected to like the audience and what you're doing. And that like there's nothing else in your head. There's nothing else in your brain.
Wow.
And it's just it's when I'm the most present. So that's how I feel about it. When I'm off stage, I'm just a normal like human being as everybody else is, you know, and no matter how like confident everybody appears on stage, everyone has their own baggage, insecurities, stuff that they're struggling with and all that jazz. So yeah, I guess wherever like a performer, when we're on stage, that's your job. We're at work. We're paid to, not that we don't love it, which is a whole other thing, but it's a job that we're paid to do, and we're there to entertain the audience and make them feel something and have a connection and all that stuff. And then when we're not working, we're just, you know, slobs on the couch with our like husband sweatpants on and like a hun bun and like dog hair all over.
You don't wear this on the couch?
I don't.
Very good. I think that's really interesting. I think like sometimes when you do see people as confident as yourselves, like particularly burlesque performers, it's so interactive. Like you're approaching people with this, you're exuding this confidence, you know, and it's like, wow, people are looking at you thinking like, imagine feeling that way, imagine being so confident. But of course you have your moments, you know.
Yeah, for sure. And like everybody has you know, when you're on stage, you're your burlesque persona, and when you're off stage, you're just your regular self. So it's like you almost step into another character when you're on stage, and then it's like, oh, all that stuff I was worried about, like about your day job, or like that like weird hair on your chin that won't stop growing every time you pluck it, or whatever. Like that doesn't exist when I'm Daria. She's like, you know, the golden girl, and then the regular me is like, oh god, I can't wait to like step into her again and take a break from this shit. Like,
what an escape.
That's
so cool.
Yeah.
So will you tell me, like, how did you get into it? You said that you had started kind of dancing, you were doing ballet and stuff when you were 5. How did you transition into burlesque? And
so, God, this is a bit of a long story.
We got time, girl. We got time, girl.
So I danced my whole life. I was like a very small child. My mom put me into ballet class, which I'm sure was like, this bitch has a lot of energy. Let's get this out somewhere that isn't in my house. So yeah, definitely. I don't think either of my parents thought that I would become as obsessed with dance as I did. But I danced all the way up through school. I did obviously I did a lot of ballet. I also did jazz and contemporary dance. A little bit of hip hop, which like I'm so old now. It was kind of like a new thing when I was like 16. It was like hip hop dance, and we were like popping like it. It's not my go-to.
I love it.
But and then when I was like doing the Leaving Cert, you know, my parents were like, okay, like what's the crack? Like what are we doing with our life here? What's the next thing? And I was just like, yeah, you know, I don't want to go to college. Don't want to like put 3 years into a job or into a degree or something that I'm not going to enjoy or care about. And I just had that little dream in my heart that was like, all I want to do is dance.
Wow.
And surprisingly, they were actually okay with that.
Wow. There was no part at that stage where you were like, listen, I want to dance, but like, I'll go and do this thing. You were just like, I'm not doing it.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, I just had an extreme tunnel vision as a teenager. And I was thinking about this during the week. And I think part of the reason that I had this tunnel vision and I was so goal oriented at a young age is because we didn't have the internet. So I wasn't able to compare myself to every single other dancer in the world. Like when I go on Instagram now, you know, I see all these, like, you can see incredible dancers doing like world class doing, and that's just in a studio, you know what I mean? Not even on stage. So I didn't have that. I only had, you know, music videos and maybe like the step up dance, like movies.
Honey.
Stop.
Oh my God.
So I was like, oh, okay, so this is what I want. But I was really good in my own lane as a teenager in my like dance school that I was in. I was like one of the best dancers, and I was like, oh, well, this is just like global. Like I'm one of the best dancers in this school, so that means I'm one of the best dancers, full stop.
In the world.
So I was like, so it's fine. So I didn't have the internet to sort of like see what other dancers my age were doing or capable of. So I was just like, oh yeah, I can do this. Which is a good thing. I'm glad I didn't have all of this exposure to like freak me out. So what happened then is I went to a 2-year dance college in Dublin called the College of Dance, which it's not like an actual, like I didn't get a degree or anything like that. It's not like an accredited college, but it basically just consisted of 5 days of dance training a week for 2 straight years. And we did like 6 ballet classes a week. And then maybe 3 jazz classes, 3 contemporary classes. Like that was just it, like constantly like full-time training. And my whole goal after that was that I wanted to go to London and study musical theatre. Okay. So I wanted to do a degree in musical theatre over there, and I had this like dream school picked out, and I like went over and I auditioned 2 years in a row to get into this degree program. And the college I wanted to go to, like it was like fame. Like when I walked in, I just had this, I'll never forget it. They had this huge big great hall, and it was like a big sort of Downton Abbey like ballroom type thing when they had just taken over this huge building in London as a college. That's where we had the audition, and I was just like, I'm gonna live forever. And I was so like, okay, this is it. So this was in maybe like I'm gonna say 11, and it was, you know, Ireland was not in a great place. The financial crash had happened, all of this kind of stuff. Like my parents ran a business that somehow they managed to keep going through all of that.
Congratulations to them.
Yeah, I don't know. They sold curtains and blinds. So because nobody had money to change or improve their houses or build new houses, I don't know how they managed to keep the business afloat, but they did. But basically because that had happened and a lot of the arts funding in the UK had been cut at that time, presumably for the same reason, the only way I was going to be able to afford to go to this college and live in London was if I got a full scholarship.
Okay.
So I got a place into the school, which was incredible. But then my parents had to turn around and say, like, if you don't get a scholarship, like, we just cannot afford which is totally understandable.
Yeah.
3 years, rent in London, whatever the college was charging on top of that, like, it just wouldn't have been possible. So I was like, okay, we'll do the scholarship audition, which unfortunately I did not get.
Right.
So that was obviously quite devastating to me at 20, almost 20. And so I had a bit of a crash out, didn't know what I was going to do.
Yeah.
And then I started thinking, well, why is London the be all and end all of everything? Like, where else could I potentially go that isn't going to cost as much?
Yeah.
And that place was New York City. Yeah.
Did you go to New York? Did you? Oh my God.
So I didn't go for 3 years and I didn't go to get a degree. But I went to a studio called Broadway Dance Center, and they have like an international training program where students could come from all over the world and take class there. And I went for a full year. They had 3 month, 6 month and 1 year options. So I was like, okay, we'll go for a full year. The dollar and the euro, like the exchange rate was good at the time for us, but I also took like a year out before I even went there, and I worked 3 jobs. I'm from Galway, so I worked in Galway. I worked 3 jobs. I was teaching ballet to tiny, tiny babies. I was dancing in a coyote bar, and I was also working in like a frozen food shop.
Yes, gal. Oh my God, that's crazy.
So saved up a ton of money anyway, and went to New York the following year for 12 months, which definitely was one of the best experiences of my whole life. Okay. I miss and love New York so really? Much. My husband and I got engaged in New York a couple of years ago. It's just a very, very special place. And I think dancing in New York was such a, like, I'd only ever danced in Ireland before that, and it was just, it blew my mind open to, like, I was training in dance styles I didn't even know existed at the time. And the New York just has so much energy, and there's so much possibility there. Yeah. And I just said yes to like every single opportunity that like came my way. And yeah, I just had the absolute time of my life. And I think it really expanded not only my like technical skills as a dancer, but as a performer as well. Because it was just so much fun, and it was so much less serious than what I had been like training in Dublin. It was very like competitive there. Right. We all felt like, you know, if your friend got into this like scholarship or whatever, that means that you didn't get into it. So it was very heavily competitive. Wow. Whereas in New York, everybody was just like, we know we're only here for like 3 months, 6 months or a year. So let's just like have the best time. Wow.
It's gorgeous to see just like that you had such a good experience, that you got to, like, even though like that door closed for you in London, you know, that like there was another door, and actually it was probably better, do you know?
It definitely was. Like, because I know my friends who did go on to train in London afterwards, and like it was just, I can't say if it was better or worse because obviously I didn't go, but I just think it was so different, like radically different. And enough time has passed now for me to say like I don't regret not going to London at that time, because like going to New York made me the person that I am now and all that stuff, and like if I hadn't gone, all this other stuff wouldn't have happened. So
isn't that such an important lesson though for us? Because I feel like so many times there's a door that we really want to walk through, like we do anything to walk through the door, you know, and that's the door that we're focused on. And if that door doesn't open, we don't know what's going to happen. It's not an option. No, I'm not even opening my mind to a second option. And I think that there's power in that, in going after what you want. But when the door closes, it's like, that wasn't your door. Yeah. And that's okay, you know, and to have the awareness, or to listen to people's lessons like this and be like, listen, well, Daria's door didn't open for, you know, and that led her to a different door, and her life, she's living such an amazing life, do you know?
Yeah, for sure. And like when I didn't get the scholarship at that time, like I was only 20, you know, I thought my life was over. Yeah, of course. It was like I was crying on the floor, just, I was like, I'm done, it's never gonna happen. Wow. It was like, I was quite melodramatic, because I still am, my husband likes to think, but yeah. I came back to Ireland for a while, and then I got a job in Malta as random. Very, very random. I got a job in Malta on like the entertainment team and like a hotel resort, which was a whole other, that was absolutely wild. That I was there for 3 months, And then I also, what did I do after that? Then I went to London as a normal person. I was like, I've graduated, I'm done, I'm ready to like hit the as a normal person.
As opposed to what?
I don't know. Not a student. I think that's what I meant. Not a student. So then I moved to London, and that was kind of the start of my whole London chapter, which was very challenging. I felt like because I'd been in New York, I was like, oh, London's going to be a piece of cake after living in New York. Because as much as like New York is not an easy place to live, it's obviously very expensive and big and crazy and busy. But I was like, London, come on. Show me what you got, London.
Yeah.
London ate me up.
No.
Oh, London was...
In what way?
So, London obviously is way bigger than Manhattan, which is a tiny little island. London is obviously absolutely gigantic.
Right.
It's really hard to make friends in London because even if you meet someone you get to know at like a dance class or an audition or whatever, they're probably going to live an hour and a half away from you on 3 different buses that you have to like get from one side of London to the other. So I was really lonely in London a lot of the time.
It's a hard place to build community.
It's very hard.
Okay.
Yeah, hard to build community. Extremely competitive when it comes to auditions, when it comes to like even going to auditions with like your friends or people that you might like work with or whatever, you know, it's dog eat dog. It's super, super competitive.
Ooh.
And yeah, there's just so much talent there. So much talent. And it was just really, really rough. I was working a bunch of like, you know, different jobs, just to, you know, survive or whatever. Yeah. But it kind of got to a point where I was just existing to work. Okay. Like I had no time to like train, take class, go see friends, go to auditions. Like the whole reason I was there.
So like you're working just to be able to pay to live in London, but not like actually do the thing that you are passionate about.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. So that was a good few years of that. Fully survival mode. And then at one stage I was working as a gym receptionist for Virgin Active, which was actually an all right job. Like it was actually a fun place to work, but the pay was just absolutely like insane. I was on a 0 hours contract, but somehow I was working more than the full-time staff. Like it was just bonkers. Wow. So I was exhausted all the time and just really like sad. And I was like, this is not working. Like I'm not dancing. Like what am I even doing here? Yeah. And I had been pole dancing before that for several years. I actually started, my first class was in New York back in the day. And I was like, okay, you know what? You've been thinking about this for, you know, as a quote unquote backup option, jokingly, for like half your life. But like, what if you actually did? What if you just started stripping? Right. Like, what if you just did it? Like, it can't, in my naivete, it can't be that hard. Everyone says, oh, if it doesn't work out, I'll just be a stripper. I was like, yeah, fine, cool, let's do it. Yeah, it'll be so easy. It's not. It's really fucking hard as well.
Is it really hard?
But I was really, even though London is gigantic, I was so unbelievably paranoid about working in the city of like millions of people that I was like, I have to move out of London
as a stripper.
Yeah, right. Yeah. But I was like, I can't strip in London, even though I knew about 10 people in a city of millions. Oh God, right. Okay. But I was just like, I can't risk anybody I know finding out about this. So I actually shame, guilt, just pure terror. Right. But I guess it all comes back to shame, basically. Yeah. So I moved out to Windsor, which is about an hour outside of London.
What's so interesting in a lot of Healing Gals episodes is we discuss how little time we as women take to just come back to ourselves. This is why this season's sponsor, Daria Mats, felt so aligned. Because it's not just a yoga mat, it's an anchor point. Something your body begins to recognise as, this is where I come back to myself. And what's beautiful is it's not something that you're constantly replacing or upgrading. They are durable and built to last as a one-time purchase. They're made of non-toxic rubber, they're machine washable, and the imagery and artwork on them is absolutely stunning. They feature artwork and imagery from Irish landscapes and captivating ocean scenes. So even visually, you're stepping into something that invites calm and presence, and maybe even a sense of home. And I think when you're on a healing journey, having those small physical anchors, it really matters. So if you're building more intention into your life, your rituals, your practices, you can explore Daria Mats at daramats.com. And Healing Gals podcast listeners get a discount. Put Healing 12 into the promo box at the checkout and get yourself 12% off your very own Dara mat. Now, back to the episode.
Which is where like the Queen or the King or whoever the fuck is in power these days over there has their holiday castle, their weekend castle out there in Windsor. Actually, it's a very beautiful place.
I'm sure.
But it's out there near Heathrow. So I moved out there and there was a strip club there called Pink's. So I had that in mind when I was moving out to Windsor. But I also moved out to Windsor because I got another job working at Thorpe Park.
Jesus.
Which is a big like theme park that's out there or whatever, and it was Halloween, so I went out there to work as a scare actor,
right,
and do all like what was I as like a clown, so I was like working in this like scary circus clown attraction. So I was working there in the day, and then I went to work at the strip club at night, and that was a real like double, like two sides of the coin.
Tell me about your first night as a stripper. What is the process coming up to it, or is it just kind of you go, you get the job, and on the first night, like what's the vibe?
Yeah, so at Pink's, so they tell you that you can come in, like I think I must have emailed them ahead of time and was like, hey guys, like I'm interested in like coming to work for you, whatever, and I think they were like, you can come in and have a trial shift.
Okay,
so you just come in, give it a go, and then I guess they'll either say like you can come back if you want or whatever. Like they were quite chill. There wasn't really any sort of like barriers per se. I think I must have sent them a couple of photos as well, just to be like, I am a human woman. Guaranteed I am. I got this. I got that. It's all here. So I went in. I was terrified. I was absolutely petrified. I also didn't have any appropriate clothes or underwear to wear because I just like, I didn't know.
Because you weren't a stripper?
I wasn't a stripper, so I just didn't really know what to wear. So I wore these like little closed, you know, like those little boot heels.
Sure.
But like they were stilettos, but they were like little booties. And I think I had like a black lacy like leotard or something, which is probably something I used to wear to like auditions or something.
Sure,
like
right.
that, you know. But I was fully petrified when I came in, and I think there was like one of the bar staff, I think was the one who like showed me around. She was like, these are like the dance rooms, that's the VIP room. This is how much a dance is, this is how much VIP is. Don't do this, it's okay to do that.
What like can you tell?
Yeah, so like in the UK they are quite strict on like touching laws and all that kind of stuff. I think it's like the local city or county council is sort of in charge of issuing like the licenses for strip clubs, and they are quite strict. So there is cameras absolutely everywhere. And so there is supposed to be absolutely zero touching whatsoever. Doesn't mean that there sometimes isn't, because like men like to push boundaries, as we all know, and sometimes those of us in the job are like, well, rent is due tomorrow, so I'm gonna like see what I can, you know, get away with, basically. So yeah, in theory we were not allowed to be touched. I think it was like, you know, it was fine for us to like touch the shoulders or like hands or whatever like that, but yeah, it was technically it was supposed to be quite strict. And that first night, I think there was one girl who was working there who obviously I was like little Bambi legs. I was so nervous. She was like, it's okay. Like, you know, you can like come over here, sit with me, and like, you know, we'll just wait here. Cause like, I think the club opened at 9 and a lot of the time nobody would even show up until like 11.
Sure.
So you'd just be like sitting around in your underwear with like a hoodie on, just like waiting, just like scrolling away, waiting for someone to show up. And there'd be full lights on in the club. Oh yeah. Some of the girls would be doing college work over in the corners, like 100%. Yeah.
Wow, deadly.
And yeah, the full lights would be on, and you'd just be like, it'd be so unsexy. Everyone's just like full overhead light on. And you're just like, yeah.
Well, this is the thing. Like, I think something interesting. Like, you know, like when you think of stripping, or when we speak about women being seductive, or speak about women being provocative, I think what men like, and listen, I might be like, you know, sweeping statement or something, but I think that men think that we think as they think. So what I've learned from, do you know Grace Alice O'Shea? She's like a sex therapist in Ireland.
The name's familiar, all right. Yeah.
So she speaks about like responsive, what is the arousal? Visual arousal, or no, spontaneous arousal and responsive arousal. And that the majority of men have spontaneous arousal, whereas like they can visually see something and then become aroused, whereas like with women we don't like by and large, look at men and be like, I'm ready.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
like I'm on now.
Yeah.
It has happened.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen that way. So like when you're describing like gals doing their college work
Yeah.
or whatever, men walking and stuff, we're not like, oh my God. We're like, all right, I'll get to him in a minute.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
like that's not really how we are. Do you know,
No.
like yeah. When I actually did one of Grace Alice O'Shea's what was it? It was like I think it was called Better Sex for Women. And it was like a 8-week course or something like that. And I learned all these things. I'm a real believer in, I know we've gone off topic, we'll come back, but I'm a real believer in like, this is your body. Like learn everything there is to know about it. Learn about all the different things that it can do, all the ways that you can experience it, all the ways you can experience pleasure. What else is life about?
Yeah.
Get the most out of yourself, you know?
Yeah,
So
100%.
like when I learned this, you know, I felt like someone needs to tell the men.
Yeah.
Because I think I think they think that we look at them, we're like, you know, like biting the lip and like,
give me a bit of that.
like, oh, we're like, Jesus. But it's only like when we start, like when we connect, when we start kissing, when there's, and then we respond with arousal, you know?
Yeah. That's like so insightful. That's.
Yeah,
I would agree.
Yeah. So when they look at us, they think we're looking at them, like, you know, like we want to crawl across the thing, and we're like, oh Jesus, another one. You better have lots of money in that pocket.
Yeah.
And
for sure.
tell me, like, when you say like X amount for this amount, I don't. You probably don't even remember the specific things, but like, are we talking like hundreds? Are we talking like £70? Like, what's the potential like?
So most clubs that I worked in were for like a single dance, which would be like traditionally 2 songs, would be £20, I think.
Okay.
So not that much at all.
Wow,
Like,
I thought it was like way more.
So what we used to try and do is like, you would, and in the first club I worked in, this would be different all the places, but our £20 dances were in like a communal room, which was interesting. So it was about this size actually, and there would just be benches like all around the edge. So like if you were brought a customer in there, like you could be there with your customer, and then there'd be like 4 other like customers and their girls like on the benches around you.
Thank God, because at least you're all like hyping each other up, like, yes, get it, yes.
Like if you ever, like sometimes they would want to have like 2 girls or 3 girls like dancing together at a time, and you literally would just be like trading off. You'd be like, girls, your turn. Take him. I've had him now for a minute. Here, it's your turn.
Have it out.
Literally.
My quads can't take it anymore.
So
very good.
But yeah, so in those cases, like if you were just going for a £20 dance, you would try and like upsell all the time. So if your 2 songs were over, you'd be like, oh babe, let's stay for another one. Yeah. Oh my God, no, I love this song. We got to stay. Yeah. And then you just wanted to keep handing them over like £20, £20 for every like song or whatever that you have them for. So that way, or we would say like, oh, we can go for 20 minutes, which would be like, I don't know, like 4 songs or whatever. And then you can, you know, there was creative ways to sort of like, get more for like a £20 dance. Then if you were going into like the VIP, which would be more of like a little private booth, then in my first, like, VIP varies very differently price-wise wherever like a club you go. In my first club, I think it was £100 for 15 minutes. And then it would just go up in hundreds for every like half hour or whatever after that. The club I worked in most, which was a couple of years later, one of the VIP rooms was like £1,200 an hour. So very different price wise. But the first club I worked in was like outside of London and very small. That other club I worked in London was like much bigger and like had a much more clientele and stuff coming through. Right. So yeah, the money you could make really varied because depending on where you work, and also just depends on who walks in and how busy it is, and like can be quite seasonal sometimes. Because then, you know, like the summer, a lot of like male customers go on holidays with their families instead of coming in to see coming in to see the girls.
So the summer would be quieter.
It could be quieter, yeah. And then stuff like midterm breaks would be really quiet as well because people just go away, leave London, take the family out away and stuff like that. So sometimes weekends would be really quiet. And it would be more like busy on like a Thursday because people would be bringing clients in from the office and stuff. So
really?
yeah.
What is it? What about that world do we not know? That surprises me so much. Like, I would have said weekends and holidays and stuff would be busier.
Like, it really depends on where you are. Like, the club that I worked in the longest, which was one in central London, like, that was very much the case because we were kind of in like the finance part of town.
Okay.
So no one's really living in that part of London. It's a lot of like finance offices and stuff like that. So for that reason, like, weekends there's nobody really around because if they're not in the office, they're not in the city.
They're not going there on the way home.
Yeah. So it can really just depend. Like, when I worked in Pinks at in Windsor, like, that was quite close to Heathrow. So a lot of people coming from the airport or like traveling to and from London. So that could be busier on the weekends in that case because it was close to the airport. So yeah, very like hard to predict really.
Okay, wow. And did you have any, I would imagine you definitely had some difficult experiences as a stripper or... Yeah.
Like, I will say for the most part, like, I'm very glad that I did it. Very, very glad that I did it. Going into it, I knew I wasn't going to be like a career stripper. I knew I wasn't going to be like there for like 10 years. Like, there was some girls there who had been doing it since they were like 18. They were like in their 30s or older, you know. So they were like career strippers who were like, I have done this forever. I know my shit. Like, I know what to expect and are just absolute pros. It's definitely like a bit of a learning curve when you start because there isn't really any training given either. You're just sort of like dropped in and you sort of have to like figure it out. So for the most part, like, you know, I am very glad that I did it. Most nights were totally fine. But yeah, there definitely was like cases where, you know, people try and like push your boundaries or there's like a language barrier sometimes and they don't know that, you know, they don't know that no means no, even though I feel like no is no in a lot of languages.
Yeah.
But if they're coming from a country where there's less strict laws on stuff in strip clubs than there was in London, then, you know, they don't know that, you know, that's not okay to do and stuff.
Right.
One of the place I worked the longest in London, the management there was a little bit sketchy, which like is probably no surprise. Like, strip club managers are not the best people and they don't really have the best, they don't really have our best interests at heart. I'll get onto that again in a sec. But yeah, this particular manager, I remember his nephew coming in one night and like I was the one who was chatting to him or whatever, and I managed to like sell him a VIP, so we were going up to the bar so he could like pay. And the manager was there and he was like, oh yeah, no, make sure you take good care of Chris, whatever his name was. And he was like, I'll put you in the royal suite or whatever, which was the name of one of the VIP rooms that we had, which was the darkest room that we had. And I think the camera was like almost half like covered by a curtain. And it was sort of like just a well-known spot if you were trying to sort of like, you know, make a bit extra basically. Right. So he was like, I'll put you in the royal suite, and he like pulled me aside. Basically, it was like, you make sure you show him a good time now and all this. And I was like, it was just heavily implied that I like, do some extras, which I didn't really want to do. I managed to sort of like get out of it without, you know, compromising too much. But yeah, just like this management or not, they don't really, they're out for what they can get from us as well.
Yeah.
Like, you expect the customers to be, you know, sort of like pushy and be like, well, what can I get for this? But something a lot of people don't know is that like the strippers pay to be in the club. Like, we are basically renting the space.
Oh.
So we have to pay a house fee at the top of the night, which could be anything from £30 to £100. And that's what we pay to just get in the door to work.
Wow.
We do not get wages. We don't get sick pay. We don't get holiday pay. So if you are not there at work actively making money from a customer, you are not getting paid. Yeah. And some nights I left with no money or owing money to the club because it had been so quiet. So they also take a percentage off your earnings as well. So if you make sell a £20 dance in my first club, they would take £5 off that.
Surely, come on.
They would then take 50% of your VIP.
Oh.
So if you like sold, you know,
the
one
poor
dance.
gals. Oh my God.
Yeah. So when I said it's not easy money, firstly, it's not easy to make men part with large amounts of money, basically just for the pleasure of your company. And it's also not easy to hand over a percentage of your earnings to management who have done basically fuck all for you the whole night long.
Wow.
Some clubs also make you tip out the DJ. who's getting a wage.
Wow.
Sometimes you also have to tip out security and the bar staff, depending on the night you've had. There was one night I was in, myself and another girl were in a VIP until 5 a.m. Like the club closes at 4, but the customer was spending so much money that they were like, you can stay in there with them for an extra hour. So we all stayed till 5 a.m. But then we had to tip out the bar staff for staying for the extra hour.
Wow.
Even though they were getting paid a wage, and so was security, and so was everybody else. The dancers are the only ones who don't get paid a wage, but then it's like everybody else is getting tipped out from the money that you've worked and hustled so hard to get. So
I'm like, how do we change this?
It's
it's probably difficult as well to fight for your rights when there is so much stigma and shame around that sector.
Yeah.
Do you know?
100%.
Like, it's not like you're going to take to the streets and be like, justice for strippers.
Some people do. So there was when I was coming to the end of my time in London, I was working in a club that I fucking hated. They took 50% of our dances, our single dances, and 50% of VIP. So I would only make £10 for a single dance. It was disgusting. It was just,
what in the world?
It was so bad. And I went to a union meeting around that time, just before I left. There is a union in London called United Workers of the World, and they represent like a lot of workers from different industries. Like, I think there was a big case they had with the cleaning staff at a big West End theatre. So they like took a huge court case about something to do that had happened there, a dispute there. But they were really keen to sort of like create a strippers union in London at the time. So I went to a meeting about it, and it was actually like amazing. And there was like 1 or 2 girls that I knew there from other places, a bunch of other girls that I had never met before. And it was so cathartic to just sit around a table and just bitch about everything we hated about it.
Because that's a really oppressive work environment, you know?
Yeah.
So to get to sit with the gals and be like, what are you experiencing? What are you experiencing? Cheeky.
Yeah.
That is too cheeky.
Yeah. And like a huge big list was made of like, this is what we would do if we could create the perfect strip club, like this is what it would be like, and all that kind of stuff. And
women organising, I'm telling you, gal, women organising, there is nothing more powerful.
100%.
Yeah.
And there has been really successful stripper strikes in the US.
Oh wow.
I think it must have been California. There was like a big stripper strike, and it was to do with the way that like so most of the time when you're working as a stripper, you're an independent contractor. You don't have like, you're not an employee, so you have no rights or protection that way. But they can then, you know, that you would get fines if you showed up to work late. If you left early because you were sick, they would fine you. They're taking your money this way, they're taking your money that way, like fees, cuts, percentages, they're taking all this from you. Extortion.
Yes.
And if you're an independent contractor, you should be allowed to show up and leave technically whenever you want. But we were not allowed to do that. So it was like, we're supposed to be independent contractors, but we don't have like any of the freedoms, and you won't give us an employee contract where we have rights. So this was a huge big thing that like kicked off over in the US. There was a huge strike. There was just strippers picketing outside like this one particular club for weeks on end. I'm sure it ended up going to court. I can't remember how exactly it ended, but like, yeah, people are really just fucking pissed off because it's really, really hard work. It's absolutely, you know, a lot of people, myself included, like don't feel they can talk to anybody about it at the time. Yeah. It's fucking dangerous if you're not telling people where you are, where you're working, you know. So yeah, there's a lot that shame and stigma contribute to the mental health and physical health of the people who work in the industry.
Wow. Yeah. That's fascinating, Cal. Thanks for sharing all
You're
that.
welcome.
Like, that's so interesting. I really enjoy being a part of like a conversation, and not just like on this podcast, but like, you know, like wider conversations that are going on in the world around topics. I love being a part of a conversation that like destigmatizes, you know, like stripping is a job, like there is a demand for it. Yeah. So, and it's a female dominated industry. So if we're saying it's a job and that there is a demand for it, and there are customers and businesses set up for that job to exist, then we have to make sure that it's safe. You know, it isn't like, as I said, like there was a video recently. I made a video recently about there was this kind of K-pop band. They weren't strippers, but they were young women dressed in like little skirts, all leather kind of, and gloves, and they were doing this like K-pop hip hop dance in the middle of a street, and people were walking by, and there was women walking by, and they were like, yes, gals, get it, you know, like, but this man came along, and he was like, I'm married 32 years. I think he said, I'm married 32 years. How do you think this makes me feel? And everyone was like,
no one's thinking about you at all, baby boy.
What are you talking about? Like, no one cares how you feel.
No.
And I think the stigmatization of women who dress in a way that previously, I despise the word provocative in when it's used in the same context as women, because I don't believe that women, I know, because I am a woman and I have so many women friends and I have so many women that are connected to me in my community and healing gals and all. I know that we're not getting dressed with men in mind.
No.
We are not thinking of you. We don't care what you think of what we wear.
No.
We're thinking of how we feel with the clothes that we put on our body. The word provocative, if you're going to use that in relation to women, delete that out of your vocabulary, you know?
Because we're not trying to provoke anything.
We're not trying to provoke anything. Exactly. But I think that those conversations, like when we're talking about strippers, it's a lot of times there might be an attitude towards strippers like, well, they're doing this dirty thing, so we're not going to fight for their rights, or we're not going to whatever, you know. But again, these are women who are trying to pay their way through dance school. These are women who are trying to like make ends meet, and they're trying to use the skills that they have to generate an income. And as you said, before these men are coming in, we're doing assignments, we're reading our book, we're scrolling on our phone, we're seeing how our family is. We are not these like provocative seductresses, you know. We're just there to do a job, you know, like we're women, and so give us rights, give us pay, give us what we deserve, you know. That's crazy.
So it's definitely not like a perfect job or a perfect industry by like any stretch of the imagination, you know. Like it's fucking hard work. And like at the time I didn't tell a single soul when I first started working, because I was so terrified that my friends would just think that I was like the worst, or be like, you know, we don't even know you anymore. Like, how could you do this? How could you like degrade yourself? It took me, I'd say, a good 3 to 4 months before I told anybody. And I obviously was like really building it all up in my head into this huge thing. But like, obviously none of my friends, I don't think a single friend that I had at the time or since was at all bothered, as long as I was happy, safe, and like making money. I think they were like, maybe some people were surprised, some people probably weren't.
They saw it coming.
They're like, we've known you a long time. Saw it coming. But yeah, I think like people's main concern honestly was just that I was like safe.
Of course.
And like obviously everyone had a lot of questions and stuff, but it was wildly anticlimactic in a good way. Because I was like, oh my god, I'm about to drop this bomb now and it's all going to kick off. But like honestly, everybody was like super chill about it, and it was just my own fear and my own shame that was like holding me back from just like letting people know what was going on. And like, now I will say my parents don't know. I'm 35 years old now. I was 20 whatever at the time. They don't need to know. It's fine. Like I don't need to burden them with that. Like, you know,
they don't listen to podcasts.
They don't listen to podcasts. You know, it's fine. If any of my cousins are listening to this though, when
I had Grace Alice O'Shea on my podcast, I said, if you've ever been at a family function with me, don't listen to this episode. Listen to the rest of them. But if you see me at a wedding and we're related, wait till next week. Tune in next week. So come here, tell me, like, how do you, obviously, like, you went and told your friends. I don't want to dwell like too long on like your experience as a stripper, although it's fascinating. That's not like why you're here or like doesn't define you in any way. It's a really interesting experience that you've had. But like, how did you move, like, from initially telling your friends, move past the shame that society puts on people who work as a stripper? How did you kind of come out of that?
Oh god, it took a while, you know. I remember the first few weeks after starting, like, I genuinely, like, I was raised Catholic, as we all were, not practicing, hadn't been to mass in years, but genuinely I was having thoughts like, am I going to hell? Like, am I literally going to hell? I was like walking the streets and I was just like, everyone knows what I've done. Like maybe after the first week, I was like walking up like Windsor Main Street, and I was like, everybody knows knows where I work. Everybody knows what I did. Wow. Everybody knows that I do this thing now. And I actually did see, like, I remember I saw I recognized a customer from the club at the gym one time. Thankfully, obviously, I looked like similar to this in the club, and I looked nothing like this at the gym. So he didn't like recognize me, but I was just like, oh my God.
I'd say your stomach just dropped.
Yeah,
you know, like them moments, you're like,
no worlds colliding, please. But yeah, I really did. I had all this awful guilt and shame, and I was like, I'm going to hell. I'm a terrible person. Like, and it just kind of took me stepping out of that sort of mindset and looking at my situation rationally, which was that, like, I need money to live. This is a service that exists and is legal. I am not breaking any laws. I am not forcing anybody to come into this club and spend time with me or spend money on me. There's customers here because they want to be. I am here because I want to be.
And you got mad skills.
And then, you know, I was like, everyone loves a charming Irish girl. Like, oh, they loved the accent. Because sure. Windsor is super posh, like, oh, darling, I couldn't possibly, like, vary that. And so they'd come in and I'd be like, well, lads, how are you going? What's the crack? And they'd be like, oh my goodness gracious, where did you come from?
Exotic.
Yeah, literally. But yeah, I was just like, it's all this whole thing about, oh, how could you sell your body and all this kind of stuff. I'm like, everyone's selling if you do a manual labor job, you're selling your body. I was already selling my body as a dancer in regular dance jobs, you know. I was like, would I rather waste all of my daytime hours working in the gym reception or working, you know, teaching kids dance classes or whatever, which I did not like or did not enjoy and was making me minimum wage? Would I want to spend all my daytime hours making £9 an hour, or would I want to spend 5 hours at night making 5 times that on a good night, and having all of this freedom and time back to do what I actually came to London to do? So I just had to kind of get real rational about it and try and like remove the emotion. And once I was kind of able to make peace with that, and also once I was able to like pay my rent easily and all that huge financial strain and stress was off my shoulders, and I was like, oh, okay, well, like this is no different apart from the uniforms. This is technically really no different from like any other like selling your body job, working in a warehouse, working in a cafe, like waitressing, which I had done so much of as well, construction, you know, I would come home from like waitressing jobs and have my back absolutely broken, have my arms in bits from carrying plates and glasses.
If you know, your feet would be throbbing.
Dying. And you know, just sex work is work. It's work. It has existed for billions of years, and it's going to always continue to exist in different platforms and formats and styles and whatever. And yeah, I just had to get real rational and be like, which do you want? Do you want to work 5 hours a night and make this much money, or do you want to work 12 hours a day and make £9 an hour and have no life outside of it? So yeah.
Good for you, gal. Good for you. Delighted for you. I would say moving into burlesque, maybe if you had any, you can tell me if I'm wrong, but like when I went to see your burlesque show, that was my first time seeing some. Did you hear me talking to Bonnie?
I actually did. Yeah. I was in the car listening, and I was like, oh!
I was like, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. It was wild, gal. It was incredible. Like, it was, I was speaking about my experience of going to the All That Glitters cabaret burlesque show in Drogheda, and what I saw, and just like how incredible the performances were, and how like just like dropping the control people have with their body, the things you can do with your body. Like, it's so entertaining. It's like riveting. You're just like, yeah, fucking go. What are you, oh my God, you know, like you're just like screaming, you know. Did moving into burlesque, how did you get into burlesque, and did that kind of, when you started to explore, because there is stripping as part of burlesque, you know, it's that kind of teasing, that kind of like fun, gorgeous performance. When you started to get into that, were you like, oh, it's fine, you know?
That's exactly what it was like. Yeah. Because years prior, I had auditioned for a burlesque troupe in London. And part of the, you know, we were filling out the application or whatever, and they were like, are you comfortable to be on stage in a G-string and pasties? And at the time I was maybe like 24, and I was just like, yes, maybe, I guess. And then obviously after like working at the club and having absolutely zero on at some nights, I was like, oh, fucking, that feels like it's fully closed. I was like, yeah,
sure.
fine, no bother.
Wow.
That's like no problem. So, yeah, so the stripping aspect of burlesque was no issue to me whatsoever at that stage. How I kind of discovered burlesque was I had lived with a burlesque performer in London briefly. We had like subletted the same apartment for maybe 3 or 4 months. And I watched her like make all of her costumes on our sitting room floor and like bedazzle everything herself. And then I went to see one of her shows in London and I was like, oh shit, this is like the combination of everything I love. It's like dance, stripping, glamour, beautiful costumes. Like it's a bit like nudge, nudge, wink, wink, you know, it's like doesn't take itself seriously. Yeah. And so I was like, oh shit, is this awakening something in me? I think this is awakening something in me. But burlesque is quite an investment at the start when you're getting into it because costumes and stuff are not at all cheap. So when I was living in London, I didn't really have the resources to sort of get into burlesque. But when I moved back to Ireland, which would have been in 2019, I got in touch with, the producer of a burlesque show here in Ireland in Galway called The Dirty Circus. His name is Tommy. I've known him for years. When I would be at home in between jobs and stuff like that, sometimes I would do like go-go dance gigs for him and stuff like that. So when I moved back to Galway and he had seen it on my Instagram or whatever, he got in touch and was like, oh, great, you're home. We have a show in 2 weeks. Come and do 2 acts. Do whatever you want. Like literally gave me no direction, whatever. It was just like, do whatever you want. I don't even care.
He trusted you.
Trusted me. So I was like, okay, right. Well, I think this is it. And I was like, I'm just going to dive into this burlesque thing and see what happens. So I just jumped on Amazon and I bought the cheapest costume pieces I could find. And I mashed 2 acts together in 2 weeks, which I couldn't do now. Now it takes me like 10 months to like make an act. So I mashed them together in 2 weeks and I did the show and I was like, well, I guess this is what I'm doing now, because when I moved home from London, my mental health was kind of in the shitter. I was working at this shitty club that was taking 50% of everything. I was trying to get other day jobs at the time as well because I wasn't making enough at the club and I just wasn't getting anywhere. And yeah, I was just really just sad, lonely, not enjoying myself anymore. And so when I moved back to Ireland, I was kind of like, I might be retiring. I was like, I might be retiring from dancing now. This might be it. Because I just didn't see how I could keep performing back in Ireland, like in a way that I wanted to. So when I got this booking then and I jumped into and made these acts, I was like, oh, okay, well, this is it. I'm just like pivoting now. So because half of me was like, I'm moving to Australia. Yeah. I was like, I want to get as far away from London as possible. I'm just going to move to Australia like everybody does. But then I got home and then I started getting booked for all these other shows because the hustler in me will never die and still has never died. Once I had videos of these 2 performances, I got in touch with every single burlesque show I could find in the country. I was just on Instagram going #IrishBurlesque, following every single person and every single show, and then just emailing everyone I could find and being like, hi, I'm a person. This is my stuff. Please give me money and I will come and dance for you. And so, so then I started getting all these bookings and I haven't really looked back.
Wow, gal, that's incredible. And then you came to, like, how did you come to a stage where you're like, I'm actually going to be the booker now. I'm the big dog now, bitch.
Bow wow.
Yeah.
I had moved up to Drogheda. Myself and my husband moved to Drogheda nearly 3 years ago. I had been living in Dublin and my apartment was getting sold. And so we bought a house up here in Drogheda. He's from the Knoll. So, and he went to school here in Drogheda and stuff like that. So I had never been to Drogheda before in my life until I came to view the house that we now live in.
Wow.
So I was just like, I trust you, babe. This place better be nice.
You trust him a lot.
And so we'd been here about 3 years, and when we moved up, I was kind of always looking out at places and being like, oh, that could be a cool place for a show maybe sometime. Like I'd been to McHugh's before. We went to the TLT, and they have in their bar, they have a cute little stage, like the Purple Room or something like that. Yeah.
I think you're right, the Purple Room.
Something like that. Yeah. And I was like, oh, that's a cute little stage.
That is very cute.
Yeah, it is very cute. And I had been in touch with a couple of venues like that. I think I did email the TLT at one stage and maybe a couple of places in Dundalk, but I was just getting no interest from anyone. And I was like, yeah, it's fine. It's not like I have the money to be doing this really anyway, or the time. And then last year, there was a call out from Louth County Council for, it was like a tourism grant. That's what it was. And they were like, we want to sponsor events that will bring people into Drogheda.
Oh.
So that's kind of how it all started. So I applied for that funding and actually got it. And when we got the letter in the door, I was like, yay! Oh no, I have to actually do it. I was like, oh no, this is paid off. Now I have to actually make this happen. So based off the back of that, then I also got in touch with Mark Davies, who's the nighttime economy advisor for Drogheda.
Right.
And he also came on board and has helped us so much. And that's kind of how it all came to be. And the first show that you were at, which was in McHugh's last May, God, that's a year ago.
Wow.
We didn't know really how it was going to go down because we had never produced a show before, me or my husband. He has worked in events in the design aspect of things.
Okay.
So he used to design like sets and stages for like music videos and festivals and fashion shows and stuff. So he has a lot of practical skills on that side. And then I have a lot of like showbiz skills, I suppose,
Everything
on the other side. Yeah. So we do make a really good team, but we just weren't sure how the response would be in Drogheda. Like we didn't know if it would work in the space in McHugh's. You know, we were just sort of really throwing a lot of mud and seeing what would stick.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been so
I'm sure you couldn't
great.
get a seat in the place. Like
Yeah. It was that first show was wedged.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's been
one of the main things that I hear from people is that I wish I preserved their stories. I can't tell their stories the way they did. I can't sing their songs the way they did. Well, that's where Evertold comes in. Evertold is a legacy storytelling platform, essentially a personal podcast, if you will. I come to you with compact recording equipment and I sit with the person that you want me to interview in the place where they are most comfortable, and I ask all the questions that you want asked. I can ask them to sing their favourite song, I can ask them to tell their favourite stories, and you will then have that video recording saved in a beautiful treasure box on a memory key, just like this one, that can be plugged into any television, laptop for the rest of time. You will never regret doing an Evertold, but you may regret not doing it. So get in touch if you would like your very own Evertold for you or someone you love. And make sure their stories are not lost to time. Healing Gals Podcast get a discount, so make sure you quote Healing Gals Podcast when you contact me. I'll look forward to speaking to you.
It's been so rewarding. Like it's been a shit ton of work. Like definitely way more work than either of us really realised at the start. And like we basically have not paid ourselves for anything because any profit that we've made has just been reinvested into the following show. Yeah. So it's really done out of like the passion for it and the love. And one of the other main reasons I really wanted to get into producing and stuff is that like over the years of dance work, club work, and then burlesque work, there's been various events or shows where we've been treated like absolute goddesses, where you just get given like the most beautiful dressing rooms ever, and there's a rider, and you're getting fed cocktails, and like my hotel gets paid for. I get flown over to places. Like those are not every week now, but they happen. They happen, and then on the absolute flip side, you know, I've been to gigs where the dressing room is the disabled toilets and there's water on the floor and they don't, like, you rock up and the stage is covered in glass, and there's just been such highs and lows of performing experiences and the way that you get treated. Obviously McHugh's is where we've been so far, and it's not the Ritz, but I was really, really determined that we make the performers feel valued and feel like we cared about them, because it's so easy for some people to just not give a shit and not provide the basics, like a mirror, a light, like the absolute bare minimum, you know. So that's why at our shows, like, we always have the option to like tip the performers, which we don't take any from, because, you know, we pay them as much as we can and don't take any ourselves, but we also just want them to make as much money as possible, because they take time out to come all the way up to Drogheda. Some people stay in our house for the night, but most people drive back to Belfast or Dublin or wherever they've come from. And we just want, you know, they all get like professional grade photos and videos of their performances, which help when they're trying to get cast in more shows and all that. So we just want to really like support the development of the performers, get them paid as much as possible, and just make them feel like the stars that they are, because they're fucking stars. And performers in cabaret work so unbelievably hard because we're our own booker, travel agent, costume designer, costume maker, choreographer, makeup and hair artist. We do everything ourselves. We don't have a team. There's my mom asks me all the time if I'm really busy. Like, I was in the UK doing a bunch of shows in March. My mom was like, oh, and so what agency booked you now for all this? Who was the agent who booked all these shows for you? And I was like, her name is Daria. She's me. Yeah. I'm the one who sent 200 fucking emails so I could get
her.
Like, literally, you birthed
really
her.
well.
You know her. Like, she's your firstborn. We do everything. We're one person machines and corporations, and we do so much work. Like, we only get paid for the time that we're on stage.
Yeah.
But the hours of work.
It works out at like 5 cents an hour.
I don't ever want to do the maths. Because I would quit if I knew how much I was.
It is difficult when you're trying to do something for yourself. You not only have to do the thing, but you also now have to be a content creator.
Yes,
you know,
that's
like
the whole thing.
It's another. Some people are their job is to be a content creator, and they're paid a full-time wage to do that. Yeah. But when you are trying to create something or trying to bring something new to an area, you have to be an advocate. You have to be a grants application person. You have to do all those things and be a content creator so people know that it exists. You know, like it's a huge amount of work.
It's so much work. I always feel like once we get on stage, like that's the time off. Yeah. As I said at the start, like there's nothing else in my brain. I'm just here in like existing in my purest form, and I'm so present and nothing else exists. It doesn't matter that I've driven like 4 hours across the country. Like, all of the prep beforehand is the work, and the time on stage is the reward.
It's the fun part, which is actually the job.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's not the job.
No,
it doesn't feel like the job.
That doesn't feel like the work.
Yeah. Tell me about that being on stage. I'd love to know, like, kind of, you know, when I hadn't gone to a burlesque before. So when obviously I had seen the movie Burlesque, but you kind of think those things are in America. Do you know what I mean? Like, for me anyway, that's my ignorance, you know, like you kind of think that's something that the Americans do because they're very confident and they're very, you know. So then when you are going to like a burlesque cabaret show in Ireland and you're seeing Irish women doing a tease, doing a performance, interacting with the crowd and just like exuding that confidence, like what is that like, or what's it like the first time and what's it like now? That's what I'd like to know.
Oh, yeah, good question. So some people might have a different answer from me because obviously I had the club experience before, so I wasn't as shy with my body. But a lot of things can go wrong in a burlesque routine because there's so many like costume elements. So like we get stuck in things all the time. Stuff doesn't open on time. Things get stuck. Things break.
Maybe for people that don't know or who haven't been to a show like this, explain burlesque.
Okay, yeah, that's a good one. So burlesque is essentially the art of the tease and strip tease specifically. So generally speaking, it will involve you slowly and seductively removing beautiful, sparkly, feathered costume pieces one at a time.
To a song,
yes. And if you look at the likes of Dita Von Teese, who's kind of our global poster child for burlesque, you know, she has a very like classical Hollywood old movie style of burlesque, which is absolutely beautiful, but there is so much other sort of almost subgenres of burlesque under that.
Okay.
So we would call that classic burlesque, you know, very old Hollywood, sparkles to die for, red lip, everything very like big jazzy, big bluesy, you know, music.
Lots
and all that stuff.
Feathers.
So many feathers. God, like Sesame Street got murdered. And then, so yeah, under that then there's sort of what we would call neo-burlesque, which is a bit more modern in terms of like music, costume, choreography even. Bonnie Boo is a really good example of like neo-burlesque who like someone takes a lot of like hip-hop elements and stuff into her style.
Yeah. Just for those of you who don't know who Bonnie Boo is, not Bonnie Blue. No, Bonnie Boo. She's a burlesque performer, an Irish burlesque performer, and she was on an episode of the podcast before. I initially, when I was saying to people that they were really shocked that I was having Bonnie Boo on the podcast. I was like, how did they know her to be shocked that she's going, you know? And there was kind of like a thing, and then somebody said to me like, do you agree, you know, with what she's doing? And I was like, gal, it's 2026 or it was 2025, whatever it was, you know. And then it became clear that they perceived Bonnie Blue,
okay.
not to be confused.
Oh my God, I never asked her if she's like, if that happens to her often.
I'm sure.
It probably does.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. So Bonnie Boo's style incorporates hip hop. Is that, would you say that's neo burlesque as well?
Yeah, I would say so. You know, a lot of people bring more sort of almost like fetish elements as well into like neo a lot, with like, you know, a lot of like PVC or latex leather, that kind of like just that more kind of rock and roll look.
Yeah.
And then you can get into like comedy burlesque, which is like a whole other thing.
Yeah.
Because, you know, burlesque doesn't always have to be like beautiful and sexy and serious. Like human bodies are funny when they move, like, you know what I mean? I'm like jiggling my titties and I'm like, ha, look at that. So yeah, comedy burlesque is huge. You know, the word burlesque is an old Italian word for parody.
Oh wow.
So parody and mockery is a huge part of burlesque still to this day. So you'll always see people like, kind of like, you know how you see drag queens like dressing up as like, you know, Tina Turner or Cher or whatever, all the classics. Like that happens in burlesque a lot as well, but more so with, well, it would happen with like, you know, pop stars and stuff as well. But I have seen people perform as Margaret Thatcher, Trump, Hillary Clinton, like, and that was a huge part of burlesque in, you know, centuries ago. It was a mockery, a mockery of politicians, the royalty, the upper classes, and that definitely still happens. I saw somebody do Jeff Bezos, and he stripped down to like a lizard onesie underneath. No. Which was amazing, you know. So yeah, parody is a huge part of burlesque and comedy. Like a lot of my burlesque is formed in comedy. Because I just can't take myself seriously. I'm always like and yeah, then there's what they call like nerdlesque, which would take a lot of inspiration from like comic book characters or TV characters or sci-fi characters, that kind of stuff, where you would like take, I'm trying to think of a good example here. Like there's a whole show based around Star Wars, which is called The Empire Strips Back.
Very good.
And it's a whole show.
Who did it? Who did it?
It's an American show now. It's not here, sadly. But yeah, they just have all the stormtroopers come out with like white bikinis and big helmets on. You know, they have like Princess Leia in the gold bikini, and it's like a whole thing. Gorgeous. So yeah, there really is like no limits to what burlesque can do or be, and it's a very different experience for each performer. I try not to put myself into like a specific box or genre, because I just want to like do everything and try everything. So I have very like classic, you know, what I call sort of strut and strip, very sort of like Jessica Rabbit vibes, you know. Very good. And then I have like absolutely unhinged acts. Like I have one as Workout Barbie, which is just the dumbest, stupidest thing ever. And yeah, so I try to just do whatever I want and not box myself in too much. But some people have like really strong niches that they just like to like lean into and devote themselves to. So
fascinating. Do you feel like the fact that you don't put yourself in a box and that you explore different kind of avenues within burlesque, do you feel like that really scratches that self-expression itch for you? Like that, like it just, how am I feeling? Am I feeling Princess Leia vibes? Am I feeling, you know, Workout Barbie? Like, and let me just move and express myself in that way, do you know?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. When I was working as a dancer beforehand, like you are really, really boxed in, and you're really judged by, you know, certain parameters. Like if you get booked for a dance job, a lot of the time the choreographer or the casting director is looking for something really specific, and if you don't meet that requirement, then you won't get cast. Like they could look at me and be like, we already have a 5'8" redhead with blue eyes, so no, you're not booked. We already have one who looks like you. Right. Or, you know, you don't fit the costumes that we have. Like we only have costumes for a size 8, so if you're not a size 8, you can't get cast. Sorry about it. So that was a whole thing that I experienced as a dancer for always, is that like if you don't fit these parameters, you don't get the job, kind of a thing. And so a lot of the time where I was trying to sort of force myself into these boxes or make myself into something that I thought the casting director would want.
Isn't this like a metaphor for life or something?
Yeah, I know, right?
I'm like, you're describing all of our lives right now?
Yeah. And so once I kind of discovered burlesque and started getting really into it and diving in, I was like, the creative freedom here is absolutely limitless.
Yeah.
Whereas beforehand, I was like, I have to be X in order to get Y. But now it's like, I can be X and I will get Y because of that.
Yeah.
So the freedom to do your own choreography and your own costuming was like a whole new experience for me, because prior, I'm a slim woman. I am a slim woman. But as a dancer in London, I was never slim, skinny, small. I was never enough. I always constantly had this whole thing in my head that it was not my dance skills that were stopping me from getting booked. It was the way that my body looked, and it was the size that my body was. And my body has fluctuated size-wise, like from like in 10 to 20 kilos over the last like 15 years, as bodies do and are supposed to do. Yeah. But regardless of how small or whatever I felt I was, it was never enough. And it's not like anybody ever told me that in those specific words, but that was what I absorbed and that was what I felt. And that's why when I was getting cut at auditions and I would look around and see the smaller, shorter girls getting booked and I wasn't. And that's the messaging that I absorbed myself. So when I got into burlesque, then I was like, oh, I don't have to fit into someone else's costumes. I make these costumes to fit me and to flatter me and to make me feel good. And when I feel good, I will perform better. I will enjoy myself more. The audience enjoys it more. So that I can't really over stress how much of a game changer that was for me in terms of how I felt about myself and my body and being on stage. Because it's just such a bad way to start off a performance when you're trying to stuff yourself into something that wasn't made for you, that doesn't fit you. You're literally trying to shrink. You're literally trying to make yourself smaller. And it's so hard to be on stage and be present when you're like, this thing's gonna fucking pop in the back any second now. Like it's just so
I think that's like that. I think like this is such a fucking metaphor for life, because like if you ever like, for us as women, as Irish women, but like women everywhere, you know, like being told, and not necessarily being told explicitly with those words, but receiving the messaging that we have to be smaller, that we have to fit into a certain size. For when you go out into the world and you're in things that are too small on you, you're restricting yourself. Like think about like all of the things that are happening to your bodies. Your organs are squished. You feel uncomfortable. You're possibly feeling pain. You're worried. Are people seeing bulges happen because you're concerned about how you're being perceived? Clothes are made to fit our bodies, not the other way around, you know. And when you get to a place like where you're like, this is my body and I love her, and I'm just gonna honor her by putting on things that feel not only that fit her, but that I actually enjoy the sensation of on my skin, that I actually enjoy how I'm expressing myself through my clothes, regardless of if that's a trend or not. Like trends can get fucked. Do you know what I mean?
Trends. I really do.
And our bodies are not a trend.
No, they're not.
Yeah, I think that's talk to me about. So for people who have never been to a burlesque show before, right, there is so much humor in it. There is that striptease element of it. Talk to me about like the crossover between burlesque and sexuality, because like I think if you've never experienced this, like before I went to a show, if I would have heard this conversation, I would have been like, wow, so am I going to like a sexy thing? Am I bringing my adult daughter, or am I like, what am I going for then? Am I going to watch a sexy show? Or it is pure entertainment. It's laugh after laugh, and it's like you're also watching women and men express themselves and express their sexuality through performance. However, that does not mean that you are having any sort of a sexual experience. You're just observing people express and like clap along for them, and everyone's like, wow, do you know, like, so talk to me about the line maybe between like burlesque and sexuality, or whether there even is one.
Yeah, that is a really good question. I get a similar question a lot of the time, which is, what is the difference between burlesque and stripping, which are quite obviously intertwined. So I think a huge big difference, and it ties in with your question as well, is that burlesque has really evolved to be for the female gaze. stripping in the club, obviously, most of
Something for the girls.
Hey! Everybody likes titties. But yeah, stripping in the club, then obviously, like, majority customers are male. We're there to make a financial exchange. It's a different vibe.
Yeah.
Obviously, at one stage, burlesque and stripping were the same thing. So the origin of burlesque in America would have been, like, the burlesque dancers then were literally called strippers. It was obviously a lot tamer than what you would find in a strip club now, but getting down to, like, pasties, tassels, sometimes less depending on where you were, like, that was what stripping was at the time. Like, burlesque and stripping were the same thing. Now, obviously, they are two very separate things, but they have a very intertwined history, and at one stage they were the same thing. So burlesque nowadays has definitely evolved to be more for the girls, the gays, the theys.
Yeah.
It's more about demonstrating our power and our confidence, and, you know, in Ireland,
Keep saying it.
As we all know, Ireland has not the best history in how it's treated women in the past.
Of course,
and, like, I don't know how old you are, Molly, but in my lifetime at
36.
least, yeah, I'm 35 grand. So in our lifetimes, like Mandela laundries existed in our lifetimes. We would have been kids, but they existed. Like, our mothers potentially could have been thrown into one if the circumstances were different, you know. So, like, in Ireland, I think it feels really great to be able to do what we do safely and without, you know, danger or shame or the chances of anyone fucking putting us in a prison, essentially. And I think seeing that expressed from an audience point of view is also really important. Yeah. Because if you're not as desensitized and used to it as I am at this stage, you know, it can be really shocking for people to see an Irish woman on stage.
It is.
In full...
It is.
In full control of her body, how she's presented, how she's moving, and the access that you have to her. Like, you are not allowed, at most majority burlesque shows, like, it's extremely big no to touch the performers unless you are invited to. Do not fucking touch them. Yeah. And that's a hard line.
This goes back to the man saying, look how that makes me feel. It doesn't matter what it makes you feel. They are women, they are performers, they are whatever. So manage your feelings, pal. Manage whatever's going on for you in your body. Manage yourself. It doesn't matter how it makes you feel.
No.
These are people. So, and you don't touch anyone, regardless of what they're wearing, saying, whatever, unless they've actually explicitly asked you to give them your hands or to engage with them in that way, you know?
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, even just displaying, you know, your sexuality in a way that's, as a performer, that is in a safe and controlled environment is, it's really, really empowering for me, at least. Yeah. I believe for most audiences, it's also very empowering to see. I agree with you. Yeah, I agree. To see, because I what I like to think of when we're performing is that, like, any woman or person who's watching us could look at a performer and say, I could do that. Yeah. Burlesque is very difficult. There's a lot of, like, stuff involved in making and all that kind of stuff. Putting all of that aside, how you look is not a limitation to getting into burlesque. Yeah. That's the last fucking thing that you should be worrying about. So I always hope that when someone comes to our show, they look at our performers and they'd be like, if I really wanted to, I could do that. And the way I look or the way my body looks wouldn't stop me because it's not stopping them. Yeah. You know?
I think as well, even if they don't look at it and say, like, I could do that, they're like, well, if they could do that, I could fucking put on them jeans that I've been so worried, concerned about that. Yeah. What, you know, like, when you see, it's so powerful to see people in their full self-expression, entertaining people, being confident, you know, it inspires others to, like, if they're doing that level of power, control, enjoyment, self-expression, geez, I could fucking start a podcast. Yeah. Do you know? I could start the podcast that I'm thinking of starting, do you know?
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
It's really empowering. I'm thrilled that you have brought such a gorgeous thing to Drogheda, because obviously we live in Drogheda, and like, I think as well, I really enjoyed what you said there about like, you know, people who go who aren't maybe sensitized to that kind of level of self-expression and bodily autonomy and freedom and, you know, all of those things. Because I brought my husband, who had never seen a burlesque show before, and my sister and her husband, and you could see like they were two straight white men, you know, so they're like, oh my God, and I'm just like, this is medicine for their brains. This is like, honestly, I feel like they have grown, they've been socialized in a world that tells them that like women are the sexual things, and, you know, all of the way that men are socialized. I think that all the men should witness a burlesque show and see like what's out there in the world and look at all of the different ways people are expressing themselves, and you don't get to have an opinion. It's not it's nothing to do with you. And all look at the reactions of everyone is just clapping like, oh my God, like there's so much. It's a very exciting show. You know, like if you wanted like a good night out with your mates, or like, well, I brought my husband, we had a great time. My husband's the best, like, so like if you wanted like a really good night out where you'll be like, like you'll go through all these different things, like I couldn't recommend it enough.
Thanks, gal.
Really cool, very, very cool, a wonderful experience, I have to say. Tell me this, right, do you have you had any unexpected reactions from any audience members?
Do you know, the worst reaction I've had is no reaction.
Sure. Okay. Yeah.
I was doing a show in London one time at this it's this really well-known cabaret space called the Phoenix Arts Club. It's right in the middle of the West End. I was so fucking jazzed to be booked there. I was like, and I was doing an act called Bad Ballerina, which is basically where I'm like a ballerina who's been waiting around too long backstage, and she's just started like drinking out of her like little hip flask or whatever. So whenever she eventually gets called on stage, she's just a hot mess, right? So it's a comedy act, right? So I came on stage and I was like doing my little sort of tipsy clown bit, and then, you know, I'm trying to like be serious then and do my point work and all that kind of crack, and then I fall on my ass and I let out a big like squeal, and the first row of the audience, they all kind of went, and they thought that I had like genuinely like fucking planned.
Do you know what you came for? Do you know what you came for?
It's like I then, you know, I get up and I'm really like clowning it up, and I'm laughing at myself, and I'm like fucking big Irish head in me, you know, I'm like lols, and everybody was just like, oh, you're so awkward, and I was like, no, where are my Irish people to laugh at me? Come on. And yeah, I was just, I don't know, maybe they were just expecting something a bit more like classic vibes or whatever, but I was just like, oh, this isn't what I was expecting.
Fair enough. Do you have any, like, first of all, pre-show rituals? And then afterwards, how do you come down?
Oh,
like
the come down is so bad.
I experience this on a very low level, but like, you know, when you're on and you're in that mode, the coming down from that, I find like, I don't know what to do with myself. Do you know, like, do you have any? So tell me pre-show. What do you do?
Pre-show. Organization's kind of the key with burlesque, because if you're doing 2 acts, which you usually would do each show, there's just so many bits and pieces of costumes, and some of them are really small, so you have like gloves and pasties and tiny knickers and stockings and shoes. There's just so much stuff. So I try and like pack everything up the night before, and I make a list, and I like list out each item, and then I tick it off as I put it in the box. And even then I somehow still always manage to forget eyelash glue. And then it just sort of depends on where the show is, because if there's a lot of travel involved, then, you know, like go to bed early and get up and like drive half the day to get to where we're going. I try and get a good stretch in beforehand. Obviously, as like a former dancer, I know the importance of warming up your body.
Sure.
But sometimes if I'm in a rush, or the venue is really small, or there just isn't time, I really, really feel it the next day.
I'm sure.
Even if I'm not doing anything too crazy, but no matter how much I try and maybe like take it easy on stage if I'm injured or tired or whatever, like once that adrenaline hits, like all bets are off. And next thing you know, you're just smashing yourself into the floor and you're like, it's fine. And then the next day it's like, it's not fine.
No.
So I do try and have a good stretch and a warm up beforehand. And then, getting ready is a whole like routine, you know, whole like quite, I don't want to say meditative as well, but it does kind of just ground you.
I was literally about to say you must enjoy like the process of getting ready for even someone who isn't on stage, but like someone who's into makeup and bits. It's like, that's my time to shine, you know. This is my little put my show on or put my music on, and it's like I'm going through my little process, you know. Exactly. Do you love that?
I do love it, I like getting ready in the venue with other people around, which isn't always possible, but like if you have a nice space sometimes and they might actually have like a mirrored like or a lighted mirror and stuff like that for you and you're all there together, that's kind of like Drag Race vibes. That's really, really nice, because a lot of the time, like I'm really good friends with a lot of like burlesque performers, like a bunch of them are at my wedding and stuff like that, like some of my closest friends now.
Excuse me, the videos of the
Saw them. Yeah, it was the best day ever.
Yeah, I'd
but
say.
So a lot of the time, you know, we're all besties, but we rarely actually get to hang out outside of shows because we're all booked at the weekends.
Right.
So if you happen to be booked on the same show, which is the best thing, then we're all just trying to catch up, you know, in between performances. So I really like when that gets to happen. And yeah, it's just nice and grounding because you're just sort of like focused and you're calm and you're trying to get that eyeliner straight, you know, and it also kind of helps to step into your persona and your character, because if you're doing a tech rehearsal on stage beforehand where you're just sort of like marking things out on a new stage, you know, you don't have full costume on, you might be in that awkward stage where it's only foundation and no eyes, and you just look like a naked mole rat. And you're just sort of going like, yeah, this is fine, whatever. Yeah. But then once you're slowly building the character onto your face, and then by the time you've the wig on and the headpiece on and everything, you're like, oh, she's here.
Oh, she's here.
She's arrived.
The fun has arrived. Yeah, deadly. And afterwards, talk to me about that. That's rough, gal.
Oh, yeah. It sort of depends on where you are. I find immediately after, the come down is easier if you're staying out.
Okay.
No, it's not even really a come down then, is it? You're just continuing.
No,
you know?
but it is more gradual, like, because the stage part is so intense, you know, like there's so many eyes on you. It's definitely doing something to your nervous system. Do you know what I mean? Like you're, you know, so to have probably, what I'm kind of getting from you is probably to have a night out and a more gradual unwind instead of like going home to your house.
Yeah. Like, you know, going home to your house usually is the smarter choice.
Sure.
The next day at least. But yeah, immediately afterwards, like if it's a big show, big event, I really do like staying out, because then you get to catch up with everyone more. Yeah. You know, you get to have a drink and you get to like, actually your body gets to kind of just relax and your brain gets to sort of just slowly come down a little bit, sizzle out a bit, without you going like full glam, full energy to just like, now I'm on the train.
Silence. Yeah.
And you still look like this, but you have sweatpants on.
And you're debriefing the night. Like there's nothing like that, like whether you're a performer or you're not, like when you are after been out somewhere high energy to like be with your friends and be like, did you see when this happened? Did you know, like, because if all them thoughts are just contained, that's hard to process, you know?
After our first show, our first All That Glitters show, because it was just such a huge event for us, and I think it must have been maybe one or two, like we stayed in the bar for a little bit afterwards, and then by the time we got home, we had a bunch of performers staying with us as well, I think, and then by the time I got to bed, which was maybe been like 3 a.m. after everybody came back to the house and we had a few more drinks there, I didn't sleep until about 7 a.m. because I was just going over every single moment of the night, and then I was getting tagged in all the stories and stuff as well, so I was just like
oh god.
So I didn't sleep until about 7 a.m. and like it's rare now that I would be on that level of just overstimulation completely, but obviously it was a very personal project. But yeah, like it's definitely smarter to just go home, drink a pint of water and take your makeup off, have a shower and go to bed, which to be honest, I do more often than not now because I'm a 35-year-old lady and my body hurts a lot. So
my body hurts a lot.
She's a vocalist also. No, I'm not. I am not. But yeah, I do like when I get to sort of just keep the party going a little bit, because it just, it's just more fun.
Yeah,
it's more fun, because it's coming down is not my favorite.
Yeah, we want to make that gradual. We want to make that gradual. So I do oracle cards with my friends in the forest. We have like a coven, if you will. And I drew this card recently, and I think it really ties nicely into our conversation. Okay. So I actually like typed out the words and keep it now on my wall in my room. Okay. So considering your story was like speaking about, you know, wanting to get into that school in London, that door closing, like all the stuff that we've discussed, and like you're living your dream, you know, like you're now creating the events where performers are valued and taken care of and all of that stuff, you know, and had that door opened for you. It wasn't for you, it wasn't your door, you know. So this was the card, and I think that this would be a nice little takeaway for everybody. Okay, so the card was called Trust Your Path, and it says, if you knew you would be supported, what would you do? Right. The universe is conspiring. Keep facing your true north. Your job is not to pave the path, but to simply keep facing your true north and take one step after another. If you do this, you can't go wrong. The universe is conspiring. Don't waver or doubt. Use your heart as a compass and put one foot in front of the other. If you follow the invisible trail of what lights you up, you will light up the world without even trying. Most people don't follow the highest call of their soul because they're waiting to see the end destination before they take the first step. If you take one baby step each day, within a year, you will have taken 365 steps in your dedicated direction. If you want to write a book, write a page every day. If you want to change careers, do one thing every day in dedication to that. Before you know it, in just a year from now, you will turn back and look in awe at how far you have journeyed. Keep moving and you will open yourself up to a new level of support and receiving. Things are not going to work out the way you are planning, but if you have a little faith and keep showing up, they will work out even better than you could possibly imagine. Don't micromanage the universe. Trust your path and let your soul lead the way. If you knew that you would be supported no matter what would you do? You know? And I just think that is such a gorgeous little lesson for us. Like, I think the part where it says, it's not our job to pave the path. It's just for us to like keep facing our true north and like take one step at a time towards that, you know? And I really like, when you were talking about your story earlier on, I was like, that's so like this thing that I'm trying to live by, do you know? Like, it's like, I don't have to know how it's going to happen.
Yeah.
I just have to keep walking towards the thing that I want to happen, you know?
100%.
So if you
That's
could
gorgeous.
if you could speak to younger Daria, what would you say to her?
Oh God. When I was younger, when I was about late teens and such, I used to have this sort of mantra, which I think Michael Jordan said first, and it was like, I can accept failure, but I can't accept not trying.
Yes, we will take that one. Yeah.
So I guess I would tell her, like, don't forget that. You're saying it to yourself for a reason. You do believe it, and keep it in your mind, because things are going to happen that you don't expect. Your path is going to take a different route than you thought, but ultimately you will kind of get there. Like, your dream is going to change. How it looks to you now is going to change, and that's okay, because ultimately it's going to take you to a place where you would be happier anyway. Yeah, I think that's kind of it, because
amazing.
I am a professional performer, and I have been for many, many years now, and it looks different than I thought it would 20 years ago, but ultimately it's still what I want. It's still what I wanted, and it's different than I expected, but it's also probably better.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, whole thing, like trusting yourself and just taking those steps, you know, it might not be where you thought you would end up, but it's going to be where you're supposed to be.
Yeah,
really.
exactly. Yeah. Daria Decollette, thank you so much for coming on Healing Gals
so much,
podcast.
Molly.
You're a queen,
It's
gal.
been such a lovely chat.
And where can people find you, and how can they get tickets, and tell us about it?
Please, yes. So you can find me on Instagram at Daria Decollette. You can find the show on Instagram at allthatglitters_cabaret. Also, if you just type in All That Glitters Drada, all the things will pop up.
Yeah.
So yeah, come find us, come see us, come shimmy with us.
Yes, okay, amazing. Gal, thank you so much.
Thank you.
It was a privilege to have you.
Yay.
Thank you, Gal. Deadly. Amazing.
Yay,
You did great,
thanks,
Gal.
Helen. That was
That's
so fun.
good.